This week, I am sorting and organizing a very large bulk food order that we ordered and received. On our farm, there is a little room that the previous owners were using as a cold storage room. It's not ideal, and we'll talk about why, but it's what we have right now. So, this is it. Rob and I, in our values and vision, state that not only sustainability but resilience is really important to us. And we really like this word, antifragile. Buying bulk food and storing bulk food is a great example of an anti-fragile choice or decision that you can make. And what that means is that the potential upside of your decision is really high in the event of a disruption or in the event of anything that could occur. And the potential downside is really low. So when we were looking at the decision to put down quite a substantial amount of money at one time to purchase enough food, probably, oh boy, I probably won't make another big order like this for at least another year. Buying in bulk has virtually no downside. Other than that, we have to come up with the cash to make the purchase ahead of time. So that's okay. We've been thinking and planning and in a sense saving to be able to do this. So it's more of a cash flow question than it is an actual amount, because we would have purchased all this food anyways. It just spread out over the course of the year. This way, in fact, we're often getting a better deal. We pay less when we purchase bulk. And it's also really convenient to just, especially now that we're not in an urban area anymore, having more of those staples at hand is going to be an incredible advantage. Don't want to be having to run off to the nearest grocery store, which is 20 minutes away, and also probably 50 kilometers away, the largest grocery store. So those are all the benefits. The downsides are really low in terms of the big concern we have is just making sure that the food we buy doesn't spoil before we get to it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do that. If, in the event that, I don't know, any number of things could happen. Major forest fires in California, for instance, where a lot of food comes from. I just think it's smart. There's so many real and actual high probability things that could occur, whether it's just forest fires in California, any number of natural environmental disasters that could disrupt our very fragile food supply system. And so the upside to having food storage or some amount of food, it could possibly be quite big. This is a great example of a anti-fragile decision you can make. The downside is low, the upside in the event of a disruption is huge, and Rob and I are always looking for these kind of plays, these kind of moves, these kind of decisions when we're making decisions about how to spend our money and resources to most effectively achieve our values and visions. So the room I'm standing in right now is what came with our property. It's in the garage, and it's an insulated square box that the previous owner made. And it's good enough for now, and we're going to use it for now. But the reality is, it's not really, it's not at all a proper cold storage room. What's being done here is that this room is being kept from freezing using a small little electric heater that's plug in and set at 4 degrees. So one of my concerns with this particular room is that if this little heater were to crap out on us and we're having a really cold week, and it gets to, it wouldn't just need to go below zero in here. We would possibly we're at risk of ruining this food. Compared to a passive solution, so a solution that has no mechanical system, would be a cold storage room actually integrated into the ground, because the ground temperature stays really constant over the course of the year and is about 4 degrees. And another really neat thing about properly designed cold storage rooms is that the moisture levels in the ground are about perfect as well for properly preserving and maintaining a lot of different things. And I'm sure we'll go into that as we this summer design and build our next cold storage room. We'll be talking a lot about all of those principles and ideas that go into designing a good no energy cold storage room or root cellar, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to be probably doing something to be monitoring that this cold storage room doesn't drop below 0 in the meantime, because that's a little bit of a concern for us. For well, mostly for the potatoes that are here. The grains and the pulses are fine. One other concern we have in this room is rodents and insects getting into the food. That's another way that we could spoil the food that we've bought. I'm gonna just show you something that I really like. I discovered them about 10 years ago and been using them at home in Calgary, and so I bought a few more just recently. I believe there's a few different brands of these. They're called Gamma Seal lids, and basically, you take these standard 5-gallon buckets. We also have tons of these 5-gallon buckets because when we were living in Calgary, there was a tzatziki manufacturer really close to us that was buying yogurt in 5-gallon buckets. And we discovered just by driving down back alleys that they would have stacks and stacks of these 5-gallon buckets just piled up outside. One day we knocked at the back door and they said, yeah, take as many as you want. So quite a few years ago, we probably grabbed about 30 of these standard 5-gallon buckets for free. One of the great things about being in the city is often the resources and the things that you can access that other people are just throwing away. So we have quite a few of those. And what I've noticed is kind of similar to the permaculture concept of zonation and this idea that humans are inherently lazy and so keep things close and keep things simple. The principle also applies to even just, sealing up buckets. And there's no question, in my cold storage room in Calgary, the buckets that had these easy twist-off Gamma Seal lids were always closed after people went in and took their food out and went out. The buckets that had these kind of, I don't know how to call them, they're like a snap, they're like a snap lid. Inevitably, guaranteed, they don't get closed properly. The idea of this not closing out here in this garage cold storage room is even a bigger concern for me because I know that there's going to be more pressure from insects and pests and rodents. So I splurged, kind of. I didn't pay for the buckets, but I did go and buy a bulk order of these Gamma Seal lids, and I'm installing them on the buckets right now. So let's have a quick close-up look at this lid. Why I think it's so great. So super easy to twist. It's got these threads on the lid part and on the snap-on to the bucket that make it really easy to twist in and out. There is a gasket or a seal right here that makes the lid both airtight and watertight as well. You can see inside the snap lid, there's another gasket in there. So yeah, I think they're really well designed. They're not inexpensive, but they'll last a lifetime. And we certainly think they're worth it. Let me show you how easy these are to install. You untwist the lid, and you have a ring here. Oopsies. Good old handy rubber mallet. Point down. So you'll see this is navy beans. 25 pounds of navy beans. And closed. I just got to put a label on here saying navy beans. I'm gonna do one last thing. I am going to, I've got these containers. I get a whole bunch of them. I have some family members that buy nuts and other food in these containers, and I ask them to save them for me. And so I clean them. And this is gonna go in my pantry in my kitchen. And when it's empty, I can come back out and fill it up. And I'm gonna do that for all of these things that I have. Rice, lots of beans, lentils, legumes, yellow split peas, red chili beans, grains, flour, rolled oats, all of these things. So there you go. In the show notes, I'll leave links to where, or some more information at least, on the Gamma Seal lid. I'll also leave links of a few of my favorite places for bulk ordering of organic food. And if you have any questions, post them, and I'll do my best to answer.